think that's because he's just so focused on the job in hand that nothing will get in the way. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's moments that he'll bite my head off.
Did test positive for a banned substance. What was your reaction to that and thoughts?
It's disgraceful, you know. It's turned the boxing world upside down. It brings a negative light on boxing. It is, you know, to see that happen, you know, with Conor Benn. I also, you know, we need some explanations. We need.
He's extremely stubborn. So he knows deep down, unless he's just a complete idiot.
Conor Benn's wife broke her silence after his arrest, offering words that went beyond simple support. She stood like a shield by his side. Her loyalty is undeniable, but the truth remains that no amount of family backing can clear the cloud hanging over Benn's reputation. On the other hand, Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't need anyone to speak for him. His spotless record already tells the story.
We'll back him no matter what he decides. However, we will steer him away from being a fighter.
For Eddie Hearn to openly label Conor Benn a disgrace is a public humiliation of the highest order. Imagine your own promoter painting you as too fragile to face the cameras, too tainted to manage business, and too ashamed to even appear in public. Benn appears shattered. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. embraces the spotlight with confidence, carrying himself with dignity, composure, and the presence of a true star.
Grace. Firstly, the guy is not well. Secondly, the guy really should be here. But the fact that he's not involved, the fact that he couldn't take any money, the fact that he couldn't be involved in any decisions, stand in front of the cameras, is making him sick as a parrot.
The spotlight soon turned to the stance of the board, and for Conor Benn, the situation only grew worse. Not even Eddie Hearn, with all his influence, can shield him from the storm. When the British Boxing Board of Control refuses to grant approval, the message is loud and clear: a fighter buried in suspicion, tangled in legal battles, and drowning in controversy. In stark contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. remains untarnished, prepared to step into the ring under any spotlight, at any place, at any time.
What he's actually saying is that we're not sanctioning this fight. There's ongoing conversations with the lawyers and the British Boxing Board of Control. Obviously, we want everyone to be comfortable. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. are aware of all.
Duke McKenzie pulled no punches. For him, Conor Benn giving up his license is as good as admitting guilt. Failing twice speaks louder than any excuse, a fighter stripped of credibility and left pleading for sympathy. While Benn sinks deeper into explanations, Chris Eubank Jr. continues to shine inside the ropes, his license untouched, his pride intact, and his reputation untouchable.
Done. Now, the fact that he's given back his license to the British Boxing Board of Control, who in my opinion are the best governing body in the world, bar none, it's kind of like a proof of admission, certainly. And for him to do what he's done, you know, they're talking about contamination, right? So if you've done it once, then you got caught out, then you do it again. It can't be contamination, can it? Because he's been caught twice for doing the same thing. So if it was me, take his license.
Tony Bellew shuts the door without hesitation. No rematch, no second chances. Questions now hang over Benn's fitness, stamina, and even his mentality. That's the true humiliation, a fighter once hailed as the future now judged unworthy of the stage. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. has already proven his endurance, his toughness, and his ability to perform under the brightest lights.
We wouldn't know what stamina and what engine he's got in him, would you, really?
It's not about the stamina and the engine, it's more about the thought process and of gaining that experience of being there and doing it.
Okay.
It's like when you go into your first 12 rounder, no matter how.
Lee Mallister tried to ease the blow, suggesting he doesn't believe Conor Benn would deliberately cheat. But let's be honest, that kind of sympathy only deepens the humiliation. When pity replaces respect, it's a sign a career has already taken a steep fall. Mallister's words reflect compassion, not conviction. And the truth is clear: failed drug tests don't lie, and excuses can't rewrite them. Benn was once promoted as the next face of British boxing, a man meant to carry the Benn legacy with pride. Now, he carries nothing but disgrace. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't need defenders or excuses. His discipline, resilience, and spotless reputation speak louder than anything else. While Benn attracts pity, Eubank commands respect. That's the stark difference between scandal and honor.
Personally, I do not think that Conor Benn would have intensely took steroids. And that's just my opinion. He's a young, fit, strong guy. I do not see why he would need to do that. And even moving up weight, I don't see why he would need to do that. He walks about that way anyway. But for me, the key is, like I say, I feel sorry for
The backlash didn't stop there. It only intensified with every fresh opinion. Johnny Nelson's reaction perfectly captured the chaos surrounding Conor Benn: confusion, doubt, and immediate demands for an inquiry. That's what happens when trust is broken. Once a fighter is tied to scandal, every word, every move, every test falls under suspicion. Nelson's hesitant delivery showed not just shock, but disbelief that the sport had sunk to this point. Yes, Benn may have cleared things with UK authorities, but the shadow of failed tests looms far larger than any technical detail. Fans aren't convinced, pundits aren't convinced, and boxing as a whole takes the hit. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. moves forward untouched, no inquiries, no investigations, no doubts. He trains, he fights, he wins. That's what a professional is supposed to do. Benn, instead, has turned his career into a courtroom saga. Nelson's words only underline just how far this has spiraled.
It's going to be, there needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's what I'm hearing. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it'll be all over the place anyway. But all I can say is he passed.
Chris Eubank Jr. delivered his response with trademark composure and confidence. Take the fight or walk away. He wins either way. That contrast defines the rivalry. While Conor Benn is tangled in headlines and legal battles, Eubank Jr. is focused on legacy, greatness, and moving forward no matter what chaos surrounds Benn. For Benn, it's humiliating. The rival he was meant to measure himself against no longer even needs him. Eubank Jr. is building his career, drawing fans, and earning respect whether Benn steps into the ring or not. Meanwhile, Benn's entire future depends on whether he can even secure a license again. That's the harsh reality, one man chasing greatness, the other buried in scandal. And Eubank Jr. summed it up best: fight or no fight, is destined for bigger things. Benn's relevance, on the other hand, is hanging by a thread.
There's no message. The offer's been sent, and you either take it or leave it. And if you leave it, then I'm going to be great either way.
Is it done forever if this is a no this time?
I'm not going to say that. The fight's never done forever. As long as we're still breathing, the fight is going to be of interest to us.
Spencer Oliver and Simon Jordan cut straight through the noise with brutal clarity, no second chances. Fail a test, and you're finished. That's the reality every clean fighter deserves, and it's a dagger to Conor Benn's career. Their stance exposes just how weak Benn's defense truly is. If he's allowed to slip through, what message does that send to the sport? For Benn, the humiliation is complete, his integrity in pieces, his reputation hanging on excuses, and now respected voices calling for a lifetime ban. Boxing has no space for cheats, no patience for repeat offenders, and no time for endless drama. On the other hand, Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't rely on loopholes or sympathy. His path has been built on discipline, dedication, and respect for boxing. Oliver and Jordan's verdict is blunt: the sport deserves better than Benn. And Eubank Jr. stands as proof of that higher standard.
And I've always been strong on that. I've always been strong on the fact that I don't believe in giving them a second chance.
You're basically saying, no 3 strikes and you're out.
No 3 strikes
and you're out.
No.
One, you fail a test and gone ski.
Absolutely, because I just believe then that moving forward, people would think twice about doing it. If they think, well, you know what, I'll get a second chance anyway.
Duke McKenzie's breakdown was a brutal blow for Conor Benn. To hear a respected voice say you're not a heavy hitter, and that you've embarrassed yourself, is humiliation that cuts deep. Ben promised knockouts and strutted with the swagger of his father, but in reality, he was swinging wildly, head down, punches with no aim, no precision. That isn't championship quality, that's schoolyard brawling. Mackenzie went further, reminding everyone of the harshest truth: Conor Benn is not his father. Nigel Benn earned his legacy through raw power, toughness, and respect. Conor carries the famous name, but none of the honor. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr., the very man Ben tried to disrespect, continues to display skill, composure, and the mentality built for the big stage. The humiliation for Ben lies in the comparison. His punches look reckless, his promises fall flat, while Eubank thrives as a polished professional. When legends of the sport openly tear down your credibility, it's a clear sign your career's foundation is already collapsing.
Style Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight. So really, he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight, and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down and winging the shots over.
Adam Booth, known for his sharp analysis, laid out the harsh truth: Conor Benn simply didn't have it. His legs were gone, his punches had no weight, and whatever size advantage he claimed was wasted under the bright lights. It was the image of a fighter exposed. Booth did acknowledge Benn's courage, but let's be real, heart without skill never wins championships. Throwing powerless punches without direction is the textbook definition of being outclassed. Benn's downfall wasn't just physical, it was tactical and mental, a collapse on every level. Booth's suggestion that Ben might improve in a rematch sounded more like courtesy than conviction. Because once your aura is stripped away, there is no second time. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't depend on hope or empty promises of next time. He proves himself every time he steps into the ring. Booth's remarks highlight the stark contrast: Ben is left clinging to hypotheticals, while Eubank thrives on results. That's the difference between excuses and greatness.
Because his legs weren't working. He was throwing a lot of shots, but nothing had any real power or snap because he didn't have it in him. And so he couldn't force his size advantage.
When Frank Warren talks, the boxing world pays attention. And this time, his words landed like the final nail in Conor Benn's coffin. Warren dismissed the idea of Ben versus Eubank as nothing more than madness, a fight that should never even be considered. Coming from one of the sport's most respected promoters, that's not opinion, that's humiliation. If Warren himself believes the fight is a non-starter, then Ben's credibility isn't just questioned, it's finished. The lawsuits, the battles with the board, the constant scandals, they've turned his career into a circus. Fans see legal drama instead of legacy, excuses instead of excellence. On the other hand, Chris Eubank Jr. has never needed courts or hearings to validate his career. He proves himself the old-fashioned way, under the lights, with gloves on, and skills that speak for themselves. Warren's verdict makes the picture crystal clear. Ben's future is trapped in chaos, while Eubank marches forward with focus and respect. One man is tabloid scandal. The other is real boxing.
Let the penny drop that the fight could never go forward. And some of the stuff that's come out since about people being, the board being sued and something, but and so forth, is just a non-runner.
So here we are. The dust has settled, and the truth is impossible to ignore. Conor Benn's story has shifted from promise to scandal. His reputation is battered, his career hanging by scraps of sympathy. Every failed test, every excuse, every defense has only deepened the humiliation. This isn't about proving innocence anymore, it's about survival. On the other side stands Chris Eubank Jr., carrying himself with dignity, professionalism, and hunger. If Eubank Jr. wins, his legacy takes another giant step forward, cementing him as the face of British boxing. If Ben somehow pulls off a miracle, it won't erase the stain, it will only extend the debate. The real question is, who's mentally stronger? Who truly wants it more? And who deserves the spotlight? Are you backing Chris Eubank Jr.'s clean path to glory? Or do you believe Conor Benn can shock the world? Share your thoughts in the comments.